What's going on? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech Production Side. Back up joined once again by Jake as we cover our next episode of Time Wars. And today we are doing Frieza and King Cole have landed on Earth, waiting for Goku. He has not arrived yet, but a new Saiyan has appeared and easily dispatched Frieza and then handed his sword over to King Cole. Can King Cole this time kill this new Saiyan, or will Trunks once again take victory? Let's get into this one. What's up, Jake?
Oh, what's going on, man?
So let's talk about your list. You got a King Cole deck, and I think you're running pretty much the full mill of the archetype, which, I mean, really this deck relies on just the field cards, which you could play, what, up to 4, I think it is?
Yeah. Bro, really, you can play as many as you'd like as long as two of them don't have the same name, basically.
Okay.
And then I also get a reduction that will bring their cost from 2 down to 1.
Yeah. And then your whole deck is just the idea of, like, maximizing those cards with using other card effects, and then you spice in a little bit of good green in this deck, too. Which we talk about later in the match, that some of that good green doesn't really matter against this deck. For those who aren't familiar with this particular Trunks, yes, this is Trunks Reboot. There is no Trunks leader that correctly fits with this particular timeline, where it's, right before the Android Saga and whatnot. This is, yes, the Trunks from, I think, the Zamasu arc, the blue aura, yada yada, that incorporates a lot of the Gokus, the Vegetas to go into Vegito. When I built this deck, I didn't incorporate those cards. I think I have the Goku in there just because it gives you a draw if you charge it instead. But I want to focus more on just Trunks and what Trunks can do on its own. And one of the key pieces to this deck was the Tapion Unison, Savior from another Time Warrior, something like that. And me and Fluff didn't pull any of those cards, and no one really at our shop had it either. So I'm like, okay, let me pivot. Let's change up some of the unisons a little bit. Let's change up some of the cards slightly, and let's try to go with this. And for those who aren't familiar with that unison, it's gone up in price because you pay 3, you can pop any card pretty much, but it has a +1 auto. When your opponent attacks, you choose one of your mono blue Trunks future cards with energy cost of 2 or less in your hand. You play it. So the idea was to just get this card on the board and then just freely play the 2-drop unit, the 2-drop Trunkses, which then allows me to kind of go into more of what I need to do.
Yeah, a lot of those 2-drop trunks also have pretty nice effects when they come into the battlefield, when they come into play as well. So it'd be a really good way to just churn those out, get a little bit of value for not a lot of energy once you've established the unison.
And I've already established this 1-drop. This is from, like, I think EX 15 or 16. You put 2 battle cards in your energy face up, and then you get to pull 2 cards in your hand, which could technically proc the leader's effect. If you wanted to reveal the cards to play them or something like that. And I really just did this because, one, if it was one of the cards that could be played, cool. If not, I'm putting cards in my life when I feel like I need those cards. I'll add them to my hand later. This Vegeta card. This is why this deck needs more draw power, I feel like. In order to kind of do its effect, it allows you to cycle your life, so you put cards face down where you want them. But in order to do that, you have to also bottom deck a card, so it kind of gets a little bit, like, you lose a lot in your hand because of this. And your deck has the ability to just amass a huge hand as it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw, like, my turn 1 was basically pay 1 energy, draw 4 cards. If you count cards from your life as drawing, which in a lot of cases, especially in the early game, you can. So my basic game plan is to spend the first couple of turns amassing a really nice resource lead, and then from there, just try and grind you out of the game. I don't really want to push a whole bunch of damage in one turn. I'd much rather, like, take a few cards out of your hand, kill a guy, maybe make you pitch one off of a card effect or something, and just kind of by turn 4 or 5 really have you at the smallest hand size possible and just try and win from there.
Uh, there you all see one of my tech options was Tapion because somehow Trunks got the sword. Makes sense, whatever. But you need 3 energy to do it. I went to go do the effect, and I was like, oh wait, I can't do that. I'll take that back.
Yeah, that I remember that Tapion when it first came out was a really nicely positioned blue piece when it came to like you wanted to push your opponent, but you also didn't want to commit too much. You got to draw a card when you played that guy, and it was like a 20k double strike beater. So I always enjoy that card or cards like it. I think Piccolo the Infiltrator kind of took his spot though.
Oh yeah, for sure, hands down. Um, yeah, I wish I had that card in this deck. Uh, so I think me forgetting that it took I had to have 3 energy for the effect kind of gives you the idea that the Vegetas really just do kind of a 1 turn setup. It gives me 2 energy, I get to swing, and I get to set my life up the way I want it for a future play. And then I was immediately going to just spirit boost and just I don't care at this point. But now I think it gives you more the idea. Well, I'm just going to shotgun to your unison then. And now the card I put in my life has no purpose because you're not swinging into me now.
Exactly. You're giving me another avenue to put my like forward momentum towards that keeps you from drawing cards, which as we kind of talked about last turn really goes nicely into my game plan where I just kind of want to out resource you after that big, 5 or 6 card swing at the start of the game for me.
And I talked about the idea of the hand being very limited. And it just comes like harder to choose like what to charge, what to get rid of. I think I only have like 4 cards in my hand. Um, and yeah, the Vegeta has a plus minus effect, just a bottom deck card. Yeah, sure, it gives you a future use of that card if you wanted to play it again. But my mindset is like, oh, you can use it as a combo piece. I don't want you to keep that card.
Yeah, and Berry Blue is really strong once I start using my fields for defensive, battle power off my leader effect, and then turn around and replay them with Berry Blue for a value on the next turn, and not having to use multiple copies of the same card to do that. Like, really good call getting Berry Blue off the board. She's just a little value engine.
Here, you're just protecting your unison. You don't want it to kind of get hit too much.
No, I'm okay with losing a couple markers, but I'd like to keep it in play as much as I
Yeah.
can.
And this card, oh gosh, okay. The whole Frieza clan. No matter what I do, you are just denying me any form of value. So instead,
Yeah,
I just play another unison and then I put it at the bottom of your deck. Yes, it gives you once again another chance to use it, but my mindset was the less cards you have to swing into me right now allows me to do things. And I did tap out because the Trunks has the ability to, at the end of your turn you reset 1 mono blue energy. So it, I'm not 100% dead.
yeah, I think it happens at the start of my main phase, right?
It's
Where
supposed
I
to be the
get
end
to
of turn.
untap. Yeah,
I think it's in a turn, but regardless, yeah.
I was gonna go for the uptick and then took it back because I'm gonna do it later in my turn.
Yeah, because you need a.
Need a field card to play to get the full advantage out of the uptick. And as you can see, the field card that I grabbed there is one that I already have in play. So I'm going to go ahead and use King Cold's ability to pop one of my fields to give him a little 10k boost on that attack. And then I'll go ahead and uptick my Unison, play the anticipated onslaught for free, go ahead and draw a card off of it, get to play a 2 cost or less, which this Frieza gets reduced, and then I'll get to draw a card off my leader too. Just tons of value. I think this is really a case of you had an okay start, and I had potentially the best start King Cold could start with.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, I feel like I just had everything I needed at every point so far in this game.
And This one drop trunks, I think it's a card. I think Jimmy was floating over our table, and I think he said like that card's never been sleeved before, and yeah, for sure, it probably never has. But when you combo it, you pay one blue energy, you can play two drop trunks. But then if your opponent says no, that's what happens.
Yeah, good old charismatic.
So once again, like yeah, you're using the whole Frieza Clan chain for your King Colt, and which every card that's in that deck pretty much just helps you keep your opponent's field clear. Like either if a card's coming in with less than 4 costs, or if it's 7 or under, it's not going to stick right now.
Yeah, you can kind of screw yourself if you play your charismatic first because it'll lock you out of counterplays for the rest of the turn. But this deck is really good at doing one of the things that I think when green decks do this thing in particular, they're quite good, is when they have a lot of KOing effects. Um, I really think that's a good design space for green to be in, is just like, hey, I might not have the most powerful battle cards or the most impactful uh like unisons in the game, but what I do have is a ton of removal, often attached to other things. And then green has notoriously strong floodgates as well. Like you see this King Cold coming down here. Not as strong as other floodgates in green, but if you choose to attack my leader for the remainder of the turn, you'll have to discard one.
Which I think I end up just swinging into your unison then for the rest of my attacks.
Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of targets. This guy's super annoying. You go ahead and remove him with your unison. Because I can pop a field card and restand him when he
It's initially yeah
blocks.
dual strike, yeah, dual attack, yeah.
He's a dual attack, potentially double blocker. So you can swing once, leave him up, block twice, swing twice. Uh, just a really versatile card. So good call to remove it there.
And here I'm doing the activate main here. It gives me a draw. I know I'm resetting energy, but I had nothing else to do with my energy for this turn. So I am paying 2 to draw 1, which doesn't feel good. But the fact that I do get a rebate out of it, it's like paying 1 to draw 1. And just dormanting to just pop the card without actually having to discard a card, because you know my turn's over with, really
Yeah.
hurt. I didn't expect to get the double strike off that card, so that's why I went for the draw instead.
Yeah, and Dormant's arguably a little bit off theme here, but I basically just grabbed my King Cold deck and then took the secret rare out. So I didn't do a whole lot of editorializing for this particular match.
So here, I finally got a chance to just take the damage for the card I put in my deck a long time ago for the Vegeta, which is a trunk, so allows me to bottom deck 2 of your cards. I'm not bottom decking the counterplay or the counter attack. Those are too powerful to give you. I don't mind the other cards.
Yeah, especially because this deck does some shuffling, but it does more just putting stuff straight on the bottom. So pretty safe bet that I won't get a hold of those berry blues again. And I won't spend energy for the shuffle effect just for the chance to get one again. So
I don't remember how you added the Kaioken to your hand.
a new ruler. I get to look at the top three and add a green card to my hand.
Oh, that's really okay. That's good. Yeah. Which in this particular matchup doesn't matter because like if you were to play it and then swing at my leader with it, um, it won't. I still get the card, add the card in my hand. I can just take one of the face down cards, reveal it, and just put it back in my hand. This Frieza is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's got a couple of unique effects. One of them I kind of do out of order here, where you can pop a field card to kill a battle card ignoring barrier and then discard one card of your choice from your opponent's hand. When you do that, you actually get to restand this Frieza, and I forgot to do that before I swung because it's been forever since I played this list.
Because I think when you played, I'm like, he's one who's kind of like a dual attacker, right? And you're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
And then I read it during your turn, and I was like, oh, he is a dual attacker. So here I feel pretty safe tapping out. Bancroft's hand size is pretty small, and I'm gonna force him to discard another card here with this Kaioken. And then
Yeah.
I've got enough fields and other stuff in play to kind of protect my leader. And then, Dormant's free, Charismatic's free. I don't think I have clones in this list, but clones is free. Just all kinds of good stuff for green. That's another uh, thing I think Bandai should lean into more with green is incentivizing them to tap out and spend all their energy. While the negates they do have are really strong, I think they could make more battle cards or unisons that you would want to tap out for that really advance your game plan so that green kind of becomes like this, rough and tumble. I'm going to spend all my energy and KO your board and push a little bit. And then, I think that's more fun than the hand control floodgatey style of green. But I understand floodgates would be used in both decks, but I'm rambling at this point.
I want to clarify. My Z deck, it's just three mice. When I initially built this deck, I wasn't trying to incorporate Vegetos. I'm like, I'm not gonna worry about it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm playing against King Cole. There's a good chance that I'm not gonna make it to turn 5. So I didn't even worry about the Vegeto. And then we will get to turn 5, and I'll go, shit. I wish I incorporated that card now. But nonetheless, the reason why I haven't pulled the 4-drop trunks back to my hand yet, because there's been plenty of opportunities to do so. Like, because I took regular damage also on that previous turn that wasn't considered crit. I just felt like if I add that card in my hand, it was going to get counterplayed the moment I tried playing it. I can't remember if it has deflect or not, but regardless, it doesn't have both deflect or barrier. So like it's getting hit one way or another when if I were to play a card during your turn. I feel like it gives you an idea like, oh, I'm just going to hang on to one of these said cards, so when I go to grab this card, you know it's coming into play the following turn.
Yeah, really interesting kind of like matchup here. And I don't know if this was intentional when we drafted everything, but I've got a few crit pieces that don't really do too much because of your leader's effect. But then your face up life, like the strength of that kind of gets negated when your opponent is sitting on multiple different kinds of counterplays and they can prepare for any situation.
I want to clarify something real quick. We will get back to it in a moment. At first, I wasn't going to choose any targets, and you go to pop the field card to restand your Frieza. And I was like, oh, I thought you said it wasn't this. Oh, I would have just used this effect then instead. And we go ahead and walk it back just those one turns. You still play your counterplay just fine. And we'll just remove that card. I think I might also hit. No, I don't think I'll hit anything else. It wouldn't be smart.
It will. I think you might hit Berry Blue as well because you've
Oh,
been removing those all
but
game.
Berry Blue shouldn't be in play right now because you played
Oh
it
yeah,
right.
so it's not a target yet. Yeah, so we considered that not to be in play, and you chose not to hit anything else. Stuff like that is kind of okay in this more casual format. But if you were at a big tournament or whatever, I wouldn't let your opponent make walkbacks like that.
Yeah. But here, it's last resort. I'm trying to see what I can get from the super combos, and there's not much. I mean, you got me. You still have one more attack after this. So, with that being said, once again, the timeline has been broken. I guess the sword matters. This time, yeah, King Cold, use the sword, chop Trunks up, whatever you want to put it that way. That's today's matchup. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Don't give your toys away.
Yeah, pretty much. And for our next match.